What's going on? You're listening to the Roundup Podcast with James Zarnicki, Professor Bob Search, as usual. Little dancing by the moonlight.
Okay.
An intro there. How are you, Professor?
I'm just fine. Couldn't be better.
Yeah, beautiful weather out. That's what I'm
Yes,
excited about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think this might be, or either today or tomorrow morning will be my last show at WNTI.
This
here.
semester?
Well, I'm graduating. I'm graduating in May.
Is
So-
there any? Well, you have to tell me who your teachers are so I can arrange for at least one of them to fail you in one of your courses. So you'll have to come back next year.
Well, Victor will be back. You know, Victor will
Yeah.
definitely have a show, and I had to finish up a research paper that was due today. I had to cram that in last night, but yeah, I think I'm pretty much.
Oh, I've known that. I did that once. My last paper that I wrote for college.
Back in Notre Dame.
Back at Notre Dame, and they're going to kill me for saying this. My English teacher, who my second semester senior year, as you know, there's a lot of times that you kind of slack off.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And my English professor, I was taking an English course, and he made us do 3 papers, and I did 2 of them, and I went to him the day before we were supposed to take the final.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've done 2 of your papers, and he goes, do I have to take the final? And he goes, well, of course you have to take the final, and besides, you owe me another paper.
Oh, jeez.
So
That's heartbreaking.
I had to write the paper that night, and the title of my paper was, and I'm ashamed to, but this is 60 years later, How the Dinosaurs Died of Unrequited Love.
That's awesome.
And I don't know where it is now. I'm sure Dr. Sobel, that was his name.
Yeah.
He either published it or burned it. I'm not sure which.
You kept it maybe for his own personal collection.
That's quite possible.
Yeah. I've considered grad school and some of those options, but at least for the time being, right now, man, I'm very excited to be done with school and.
I'm sure you are.
But yeah, one thing I want to talk about is you're a big movie buff. I'm surprised you didn't go to the Black Maria Film Festival last night. I don't know if you Black Maria.
Oh,
I mean, granted,
I didn't even know about it.
They had a lot of short films. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
animation ones and some. They had a lot of documentary ones and stuff. It was about an hour and a half, and they just show all these different films. And there were some really cool ones there. One of them was about. It was about the mission that caught Adolf Eichmann back in Argentina.
Really? Yeah.
We had flooded, so it was like a 15-minute short about that
Yeah.
operation, and it was crazy. It was so like their plan, the Israeli plan to capture
Yeah.
him, was so incredibly detailed, and they had a plan A through D. You know, they had, if this happens, we'll do this, and it was awesome. That was, I mean, at least for me, it was my personally favorite.
Yeah, well, those things are so.
It was unreal.
I can remember what happened to the hostages who were held in Tehran in 1979 during President Carter's administration. There was an attempt to rescue the hostages, and it went catastrophically wrong. So those operations can really
Oh yeah,
go.
it's
And more recently, when they, I was amazed that I think there was a TV show or a documentary or something about how they eventually found Osama bin Laden in somewhere in Pakistan.
oh yeah, and it's like a mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
It's there's a book I want to read too. It's called the Nazi Hunters or something, and it's about all the Israeli. I mean, most of them, I think all of them, are former, Holocaust survivors, and it was this team of them who were day and night there. They were just trying to track down members of the Third Reich to bring them in for trial. and I want to read the book so bad because it's so incredibly, it's just so cool how they.
Oh yeah.
How they. I think it was. So in the film yesterday they were showing was. So there was a guy who was in Argentina for like 6 months trying to find this guy named Roberto Clemente or something. Or that's a pitcher, wasn't that a pitcher?
Oh yeah, that was
So I'm thinking, it was. I think it might have been Roberto Clemente, or his name was there. That was his alias. So the plan. So he was trying to find him for 6 months. Eventually, he found him, and when he sent a letter back to Israel, it was like all in code, so no one could see. And the message was written. It was just simply the letter just said, "The driver is red," and that meant I found Adolf Eichmann. And then you had all these guys. There's a team, I think, 8 of them.
Yeah.
And they would fly to a different country. So one would fly to Italy, one would fly to the U.S. or whatever, and they would all fly from these separate countries to Argentina, and they'd meet up. It was cool though. It was very cool. But yeah, I mean, let's get on to some science talk.
Let's see. What am I? As you know, and I'm still really grateful to you for helping me out. Yesterday in my astronomy class, I Skyped my nephew Owen, who is working for SpaceX out in Hawthorne, California. And I had him talk to my, via Skype, he talked to my astronomy class and talked about what SpaceX was about. And he graduated UConn a year ago.
Oh, so he's kind of right out of college.
Yeah, so he got a job at SpaceX right off the
That's awesome.
right off the bat, and it was I just put him on because I mean it's SpaceX has, as you know, quite a reputation now.
Yeah,
and, they're doing amazing things, and he applied. They had a test that they gave him and an interview, and then he got the job, and it looks like the company itself has an incredible number of opportunities because I looked up, I Googled SpaceX yesterday and ran off a total of 27 pages of open job positions.
So they're doing a lot of hiring?
Oh, yeah. So there's, of course, it's all technical, either computer-oriented or engineering-oriented.
Yeah.
But there are a tremendous number of opportunities.
What was your nephew's major in college?
It was, I think, tech computers, some division of that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure he's obviously from around here, right?
Oh yeah, he went to UConn. He was born in New York City. He lived for a while in Brooklyn, and this was one of the good things about him right now is that during his formative teenage years when he had to go to high school and go to college and study and apply and he was away from the influence of his uncle, who was a childhood basically if I'd stayed with him throughout his teenage years, he would have inevitably gone down the wrong path. So I did influence him as a child.
Yeah.
I would go up to their place in Connecticut. They live in Connecticut. My brother and his they live in Connecticut. So I would go up there regularly, and Uncle Bob would go in, and there were 4 of them: Owen, Connor, Adair, and Mikey, all between the ages of roughly 2 and 10.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 and 12. And I would go up there, whip them into a complete frenzy, and then go back home.
Yeah, it wasn't your worry. That's awesome. That's incredible. I mean, it seemed like a really cool Skype call you guys were about to have. That's another cool part about Skype and all that stuff now. Like, you can do so many different, you can do interviews with it. One of the things I'm planning to do, me and my friend who graduated last year, we're planning to do like a podcast through Skype, kind of.
Yeah.
There's ways you can record Skype calls, and so you can, I don't know. That's one of the things we're planning on doing. There's so many different things you can do with Skype and everything else now.
Yeah.
But
It amazes me though. I have my in our house in Panther Valley. I have a man cave downstairs,
yeah.
and I am quite proud of my. I have a collection of DVDs and Blu-rays, and I just looked at them and I realized that within the next year or so, all of that's probably going to be obsolete.
Oh yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But that almost. But in the same token, right? You have everything's digital now, and through like iCloud and stuff like that, and no one has the physical copies. So I think that's cool that you have all that.
Yeah.
How big's your collection of movies and things?
I've
If you had
got-
to guess.
I've got 2 bookshelves, I would say at least. I would say about maybe 500.
Wow, that's
Okay.
how long of a span did you start that collection?
Oh, I've done that over the past couple of years. I'm especially proud of I have a little corner of my special movies like Robot Monster,
Yep.
Atom Age Vampire,
Okay.
the grade Z movies that I am most proud
Yeah.
of. And I'm sure with all of these combined movies, I'm sure I am the only human being on this planet who has all of those movies in one place.
Yeah. That's awesome. Does your wife have as much of an appreciation for the movies as you do, or?
We have 2 TV sets. That's what preserves our marriage.
That's awesome.
If I want to watch one of these flicks, my wife
got your
has,
own.
my wife has, I have my wife's blessing. She says to go downstairs. Don't make too much noise when you're down there.
That's awesome. Well, that's like the whole purpose of a man cave. You kind of get away.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, you get away and get some peace and quiet. But yeah, that's awesome though. That's cool. But one of the things I wanted to do with you today. So we had done it in class yesterday, in my public speaking class. We were talking about this is an actual. Let me find the title here. So this is the NASA. This is a NASA exercise, and it's ranking the survival objects on the moon. So this would be, I guess, if there was I don't know from what year it was. I think they still do it. This is
I heard of it. Like I've seen it, but
so
a long time ago.
Yeah. So this is roughly what it is. Okay. So your step one is you have you have this big list of I think there's 1 through 15. So you have a box of matches, food, 50 feet of nylon rope, parachute silk, portable heating unit, 2 .45 caliber pistols, 1 case of dehydrated pet milk, 2 100-pound tanks of oxygen, a stellar map, a life raft, magnetic compass, 5 gallons of water, signal flares, first aid kit, a solar-powered FM receiver transmitter. And the obviously they're not listed out. It's a little tougher now, and the objective was to rank them from 1 to 12 in terms of what do you think was the most important.
Well, I know 2 of them that would be on the bottom. One obviously is the box of matches because you need oxygen.
Yep.
And if you're on, there's no atmosphere on the moon. So that the other thing that'd be out is the star map, because stars are look completely different from the moon than they would on the Earth.
Okay.
So, or then again, maybe I have to take that off because the stars are so very far away that they probably wouldn't look that much different from the moon than they would from the Earth.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, those 2 are right. Those are very box of matches is the last.
Yeah.
Let's see the stellar map.
Well, the one missing thing, the one that it should have put in that list, is of course a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
You gotta have a Swiss Army
exactly.
knife.
Number 1. What do you think number 1 was?
Oh God.
I mean, there's also a big.
I would say the oxygen.
Oxygen is number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2. Let me see. I can't even find it. Yeah. Number two, what do you think was the second most important thing that they listed? And this is all part of their exercise. I don't know.
Did you mention water?
Yeah, water's two.
Okay, water's two.
Yeah, water's two.
And food.
Yep. They have food at 4. So 3, they actually have. Well, it's a constellation map, but it's of the moon's constellation.
Okay.
So,
Then that's
yeah.
that makes sense.
And then at 5, they have the solar-powered FM receiver transmitter.
Yeah, that's
Would
make sense. Yeah.
6 is the nylon rope. I when I did this myself, I put the rope way at the bottom. I guess I didn't realize. And
I would have put it up there because you need ropes.
Yeah, just for
you can
anything.
always use rope.
one of the interesting ones was they had the purpose they stated for the caliber pistols as well as the life raft was for projection purposes. Like if you needed to go somewhere, you could shoot it, and it would kind of. That was an interesting concept that I didn't think of with it.
Now, would you be able to? Because to do an I'm showing my science ignorance, but can you actually fire a gun on the moon? Because you need a spark.
That's a good point. I don't know. I definitely. They don't have an answer here.
You have to need some other method of propulsion.
Yeah.
out there, you know.
I think the life raft was the big one for them. Was it's self-inflatable? So for them it was you can either A, use it for shelter, or B, you could use it for some sort of propulsion system, which was cool.
Well, the most outrageous, I don't know what this, weird things come to my mind. I apologize in advance.
That's a good thing.
But the most outrageous use of a raft. You can tell me the movie that the most outrageous use of a rubber raft was.
I'm trying to think. So it's a movie that they use a raft for like an outrageous reason.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with the water.
I have no idea.
It was used in the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Okay.
When they're on this, they're on this plane. The pilots have jumped out, and they deliberately they deliberately took the fuel out. So this thing is about to crash. There's no way that can happen, and there's no parachutes in the plane. So they get a rubber raft and they inflate it, and they jump out of the plane on the raft, and they wind up going down the.
Oh, that actually. I thought you were going to say they held it as if it was a parachute.
No. They got in. That's what they should have been. They should have held it as a parachute, but no, it was far. They wound up, surfing down the mountain.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I can think of something relative to technology relating to when I talked with my nephew yesterday on Skype, and with respect to, he had a great deal of reverence for his boss, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is a visionary. And I can remember recently, we suffered the passing of Stephen Hawking. Both Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have quite recently, it was one of the last things that Hawking spoke about, was the possible danger of what we're doing with artificial intelligence, and that we're becoming very dependent on using AI devices, and there could be a point where AI develops to the extent that it could become, they could become self-aware, and thinking for themselves.
And that's something they thought about within SpaceX, or?
Well, Elon Musk has talked about it, and Stephen Hawking mentioned it, and he was.
Did they ever give any dates in terms of a time frame? Like when they think that could happen?
It probably not for a long time, but when you think about it now, how dependent we are on things, and even there are devices now that render judgments as far as people smoking. The devices that will, there are a lot of ways now that our behavior is being regulated or being guided by these devices.
Oh, for sure.
And it was AI gone amok, of course, is a major subject in sci-fi.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've asked you this before, but one show I would highly recommend to you, and I think you'd be interested in it, is it's called Westworld. It's on HBO.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with that.
I highly recommend that because it's pretty, and they might have the first season in the library or so, but it's kind of the same premise, right? So you have a theme park. I don't know if are you aware of?
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with Westworld.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yeah.
It's based on a short story, isn't it?
It's based on a Michael Crichton book, which was made into a movie in the 1970s.
Really?
There were two of them. It was Westworld and Future World.
Oh, so it's actually been done before.
Westworld was the premise of Westworld. It came out in either 71 or 72. It was a theme park where you could go to ancient Rome or go to the Old West. And these two guys go. They decide to have their vacation in Westworld.
Yeah.
And all of the people in Westworld are all robots.
Yep.
And in the movie in the 70s, they were all because in the HBO series, the robots are becoming self-aware.
Yep.
But back then they were just robots, and there was one who looked like. Have you ever seen the original version of the Magnificent Seven?
No.
Well,
I might have seen images of it or like posters.
Yeah.
And
Well,
things,
the main gunslinger in the Magnificent Seven was Yul Brynner, and he was he played himself in Westworld, and he was a robot who the programming went awry, and it became his mission to try to kill the two guys who were on vacation. He kills one of them, and most of the movie is about the other one trying to escape from Yul Brynner. But it's become. I know the HBO series is a lot more complex than the movie was.
It's the way they're kind of formatting, at least this season. I won't give anything away, but they're definitely it kind of jumps around time wise, right? So it'll show clips that have happened years ago. But it's such an awesome, and it's a really cool premise, right? You have
I got it. I haven't gotten into it yet,
Yeah.
but I want to. They did the same thing over the past couple of years with Battlestar Galactica.
It was the robots.
In the late 1970s, Battlestar Galactica was basically a spin-off of Star Wars. The success of Star Wars begat the original version of Battlestar Galactica. So instead of stormtroopers, they had Cylons. And the Cylons were outrageous, robots, and they remade Battlestar Galactica for, I think it was either HBO or Showtime, recently. And they did the same thing with the new Battlestar Galactica that they're doing with Westworld now. They were the Cylons. They did have Cylons. They did have the robot-like, but they also had Cylons who looked like humans, and they were people who weren't sure whether they were Cylons or not. So
humans,
they did the whole thing. Yeah.
It's funny, right? Well, I think you have traditionally the Star Wars, and then you have the Trekkies on the other side. Where does Battlestar Galactica rank, and where does that sit on the spectrum?
Well, back in the 1980s, it was very, very cheap. It's on every Saturday at midnight on I think Channel 33, and it only lasted I think it might have lasted 2 seasons. They had a spin-off called Galactica 1980, but it was for veteran sci-fi freaks like myself. It was considered. We put that version of Battlestar Galactica in the same in the same category as the original Lost in Space
Okay.
with Dr. Smith
Yeah.
and it was not considered serious science fiction.
Yeah, it was kind of goofy a little bit.
But the remake on HBO was very well done.
Of Battlestar.
Oh
Galactica?
yeah.
I have my buddy's dad's really into it, and I've never seen it or anything, but you know, yeah. I mean, is there anything in particular you kind of want to talk about today, or anything further that you on the docket?
Well, I just right off the bat, like I've mentioned that there are potential dangers in the use of artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting, like, even if you look at a lot of really skilled trade positions, right, where you have a lot of machines do a lot of the work now. Not with all of them. There were certain trades that are timeless because it's just you need a human to do it. But it's kind of an interesting perspective when you look at how the machinery has kind of taken away the need, the desire for skill.
Yeah.
With it, but no, it's an interesting concept where you think what was the robot they had at MIT, and it was within the past 6 months, I think, and that the robot learned how to walk or something.
Yes.
It was goofy looking.
I read it. Well, there's also, for that matter, there was what was the computer they used on Jeopardy to what was its name?
Try to look it up.
Yeah,
Who's the robot used on Jeopardy?
yeah, and it was began with a J.
No, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see what we got. The Jeopardy robot, Watson.
Watson.
Watson, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Watson defeated. There was a Jeopardy champion. His name was Dave Jennings.
Ken Jennings.
Ken Jennings, who set the all-time record. I mean, I think he was on for like 75 shows. He was
He's unstoppable.
Yeah, and they pitted him against Watson, and Watson won.
That's when was that?
That was either last year or the year before.
So it was recent.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's definitely. Well, that was kind of all the premise behind Y2K, right? Was that you were going to have machinery
there was
systems were going to go down or something.
Oh yeah, that was a big scare back then. The world was going to end in 2000.
I mean, it was 5 or 6 at the time, so I don't know, 7 I think. But anyways,
it just wound up rolling over.
Yeah, what was it? So people thought that because it was in the year 2000?
Because all the programs of the 20th century and the beginning of the computer age technology were all geared towards, as far as years were concerned, it was all 19-something.
Yeah.
And in 2000, all of the 1900s would become 2000s.
Yeah.
So they were afraid that was going to screw things up.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, they didn't. I think the next monster on the scene might be the use of artificial intelligence, and it could be just but the things are.
I mean, even look at how. Even the past 17 years, like even since there were 18 years.
Oh, we're living in We're living in an age. We're living in an age that rivals what happened back in the had to be the 14th or 15th century when Gutenberg invented the printing press. The revolution that's going on now is just as big as a printing press was hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
and it's been exponential. I don't think anybody would have guessed now, even back in the 1990s, that things would have progressed or gone as crazy as I mean, the growth has been exponential.
For sure. I mean, it's funny you said that. You mentioned the printing press because I was watching this video and this interview with some guy named Jordan Peterson. He's like a big scholar, He's a psychology guy, but he's very diverse in what his knowledge. And one of the things he talks about is this is the first time in history, in human history, that spoken word can travel or be spread at the same on the same level as text, right? It's always been books because you can just cram so much information into it. But now with podcasting and everything else, and some of the new outlets out there, you can kind of have the same level of detail be transcribed through spoken word, which is, as opposed to before, when, way back in the day when spoken word was all, it was I would tell you, you would tell the other person. But now everything's digitalized, and just a really interesting perspective on things. But
I was reading one of the books that I've had in my possession for many years. I just started because whenever more recently when my wife and I go shopping, I always bring a book with me, and she just puts me on a chair somewhere in the mall so I can read my book.
You can do your
while
thing,
she goes shopping.
That's a good plan.
So I read something. I have a book called The TV Book about the history of television.
Yeah.
And I was reading how it was like back in television did not spring overnight, like the way that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Okay, the TV was what's bits and pieces over the years, and when they started trying to transmit images, the whole thing creating these diode screens and everything, it was pretty amazing how that whole thing got started and how television transmit. And this was less than 100 years ago. And when I think the people who were responsible for inventing TV in the 1920s and 1930s, if they could go into a time machine and appear in this day and age, I think they would be astounded as to what's going on now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got to go on commercial real quick.
Sure.
When we come back, we'll keep touching on the subject. So we'll be right back.
Okay. Oh,
Coming from the Lackland Center at Centenary University, WNTI.org streams the best online programming from our staff, students, faculty, and volunteers. Click on the Listen Live button on our website or find us with the TuneIn Radio app on your mobile device. It's WNTI.org.
If you love gritty blues, then you're in the right place. Whether it's jump blues, Chicago blues, or blues rock, I've got you covered. This is Mike Stokes, and I host Blues on the Run every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. on Centenary's WNTI. Tune in and you'll hear some of the greatest blues music ever recorded. And in our juke joint, requests are always welcome.
Centenary Stage Company and Centenary University's all-student Next Stage Repertory presents Lucky Stiff, April 27th through May 6th in the Lackland Performing Arts Center.
Something funny's going on, and it isn't very pretty. This is how it all began, with the murder of a man. Bang! Whoops!
An offbeat, hilarious murder mystery farce complete with mistaken identities, $6 million in diamonds, and a corpse in a wheelchair. Lucky Stiff revolves around an unassuming English salesman who is forced to take the embalmed body of his recently murdered uncle on a vacation to Monte Carlo. Featuring a tuneful score and an ensemble of zany characters, Lucky Stiff is an audience charmer. Tickets for Lucky Stiff are $20 for adults and $10 for children under 12. They're available online at centenarystageco.org or by phone at 908-979-0900. Don't miss Lucky Stiff, April 27th through May 6th at Lackland Performing Arts Center.
Something funny, funny, very, very funny, woo, woo, bang, whoops, is going on.
And that's
It's a big. We're back on it. Yeah.
that makes him invaluable.
Yeah, the technology aspects of it is huge. Well, I mean, the tough part too with communications, right, is it's to a degree, it's always constantly changing, so you just have to keep staying up to date with the technology. But that's with anything, though, I feel like. So, that's the plan. But you said you had a quiz you wanted to try out, or?
Sure.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
It's what again. It's one of my little Jeopardy questions.
Okay. Again, I cannot promise I'll do as good as Zach did last week, but I'll definitely give him put some effort in it. Let me see. Let me get the Jeopardy music on real quick.
Okay.
Add a little production value here. Jeopardy music. Dancing in the moonlight. There we go. All right. So whenever you are ready.
Okay. The overall category is the Ultimate TV Geek Quiz.
Okay.
Okay. And the categories are the category 1 is Batman villains.
All right.
I named the villain. You have to name the actor or actress.
Oh, I'm gonna do terrible. Okay, I think I'll.
Number 2 is the main character. I name a TV show, and you tell me the main character, the main star.
Okay.
Like for instance, Star Trek
Okay.
would be Captain Kirk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The another category is secret identities. You give
What
me-
would that be? So the real name of like a superhero, for example.
I give the heroes. I give his secret identity name, and you tell me who the hero is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And 2 other categories. Look up the number. I will give you a reference to something that has a number as an answer, and you have to tell me what the number is.
Okay.
Okay. And then I have look up the name, where I will give you the number, and you have to tell me the name that it corresponds to.
Okay.
You'll see it
Yeah.
when I start doing it. So
All right.
we'll start with Batman villains.
Okay.
If you could, okay. And this is from the TV. This is all from TV.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
All right.
All right. The Joker. And again, I'm doing this is I don't think it's really fair to you because I'm doing it. This is all 60s and
Okay, so this is older.
Yeah. So the Joker was originally played by we all know Heath Ledger won the Academy Award for the Joker, and he's by far the most famous Joker. But the Joker on the TV show was Cesar Romero.
Okay.
And he was.
You know who was really good too? Granted, this was one of the animation series, but he was his Joker laugh was fantastic. It was Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He was kind of this terrifying. I think that's one of the requirements for being the Joker. You'd have a really good laugh.
Yeah.
But no, that's who I know. I was gonna say Mark Hamill.
Well, the other one, the Penguin, is historically famous as far as as far as centenary is concerned.
Really?
Yep.
How so?
The original Penguin was a guy named Burgess Meredith. And Burgess Meredith was a keynote speaker in, I believe it was either the 1988 or 1989 centenary graduation.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because he was a very good friend of Stephanie Bennett Smith, who was, for many years, was the president of the college.
Hence the Bennett Smith Hall, right?
Bennett
Okay.
Smith Hall, yep. And Burgess Meredith was the TV Penguin.
Okay. When I think of the Penguin, I think of Danny DeVito. Remember
yeah.
that was, he was pretty good in that
Yeah.
one. That was a weird one. The Tim Burton Batman's, were too much for me personally.
You know,
but-
Batman has been recycled. I mean,
Oh,
it was
he's been-
recycled in the late 1980s, recycled again in 2000. You know,
the Batman Begins
2003,
trilogy, yeah.
Yep. And as far as I'm concerned, Heath Ledger's Joker
Oh,
was
unreal.
the ultimate depiction of pure evil.
He was fantastic in that
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
I was reading somewhere to prepare for that role. He actually locked himself in a hotel room and in isolation, didn't talk to anybody for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
That was how he would prepare for it, which is, craziness. But
Yeah.
he was terrifying in that.
Let's see, what other categories do I have? Well, I'll switch over. Let's do the main character in certain TV shows. And again, I'm probably dating myself by doing this. Stargate SG-1.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I have no idea.
That's not. I'm not gonna. He was actually. Let me do secret identities.
Okay, I think I could do
Okay.
good with this one.
Okay. Clark Kent.
Oh, Superman. Superman.
Yes.
That's a given.
Yeah,
If I got that one wrong, I'd have to walk out.
Okay. How about Bruce Wayne?
Oh, the Hulk. Okay.
Be careful. Be careful.
No.
Bruce Wayne.
Oh, but Batman.
Batman.
Batman. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm thinking.
Okay. The next one. Diana Prince.
Ooh. Is that Super
I-
Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder
Yes,
Woman, okay.
exactly. Wonder
All right.
Woman.
3 for 3.
Let's see. Steve Rogers.
The Flash?
Close,
Steve-
but no cigar.
Marvel? Is this Marvel or DC?
It's Marvel.
One more time, who is it?
Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers. The Green Lantern?
No, he was the original Avenger, the first Avenger.
Oh, that's his own superhero.
He's also known as the first Avenger,
Okay.
and he's in the Avengers movie that's on right now.
Oh, who is he? Which one is he?
Captain America.
Okay, Captain America.
Captain America was Steve. I believe it was Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And who do we got? David Banner.
Oh, the Hulk.
The Hulk,
Hulk.
yeah,
There you
good
go.
old Hulk.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
4 for 5. I'll take that.
Okay, you're doing good. Okay, now I'm going to give you a number, and you have to tell me the name. Now, some of this might be too obscure, so
Okay.
let me warn you ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay. 007,
James Bond.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6.
Number 6. Was that Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible?
Oh, you're there. Actually, that's a good guess. That's a very
Yeah.
good guess.
Ooh.
There was one of the most notorious cult TV programs ever made. Only lasted 17 episodes, and they broadcast it in the summer of, I believe, 1966. It's called The Prisoner.
I've heard of it.
And The Prisoner is like a notorious cult favorite
Yeah.
TV show. And the whole premise of the TV show was that this guy was some kind of a secret agent who, and all you see in the first part of, when they introduce it, there's no sound. You just see this guy coming in. He's obviously furious at something or other. And he walks up to a desk, and there's a guy sitting behind the desk, and he slams something on the desk, and you don't hear anything. He just yells it, and he just slams it, and he puts his, it puts like a badge on the desk and walks away, and goes back to his apartment. You see him walking up to his apartment. He goes inside, and you see these two characters drive up in a car. One's a dwarf, and one's like a 7-foot guy.
Yeah, giant.
And they walk in, they squirt something into his doorknob, and inside he loses consciousness, and he awakes in this place called the Village, and he hears this voice, and he goes, "Where am I? What am I doing?" And the voice just says, "You are number 6."
And that's-
And he goes, "Who?" No, he goes, "What am I? What am I doing? Who are you?" And the guy goes, the off-screen voice goes, "I am number 2." And he goes, "Yeah." And then the voice goes, "You are number 6." And he goes, "I am not a number. I am a free man." And the entire rest of the series, is 17 episodes, is him trying to escape from the Village.
That sounds crazy.
And among the things stopping him from the village looks like some place on a seaside. And he tries to run along the shore, and these big balloons appear out of the water, and they rush and they push him back.
Yep.
And the entire premise of this series was him trying to escape.
That sounds unreal. That was the 60s, you said?
That was I believe it was 1966,
Yeah.
summer of '66,
Okay, so that's
and that was the prisoner.
yeah.
Let me go through one more. Agent 99.
Agent 99. Give me a year. Or
In the '60s,
In the
TV
60s.
show, and it was a comedy.
Let me tip my tongue. Let me see. I'm gonna guess and say
It was actually a secret agent comedy.
a secret agent comedy. Was
Mel
this
Brooks.
Get Smart?
Get Smart.
Okay, all right.
Agent 99.
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember the actress who played her?
No.
No, her name was Barbara Feldon.
Okay, yeah,
And
all
he
right.
was,
yeah.
he was Maxwell Smart's partner, Agent 99.
And did you ever see the remake with Steve Carell?
Yes,
that was
yes,
pretty good.
yeah,
it was
yeah.
not. It wasn't bad.
Let's see, who did I got? Oh, one of my favorites, 7 of 9.
7 of 9.
Again, if you're not a Star Trek freak,
Nah, I wouldn't know this one.
Yeah, probably not. 7 of 9 was one of the most notoriously famous characters from one of the Star Trek TV shows. It's a Star Trek Voyager,
Okay.
and she was originally a Borg, who were the ultimate enemies of the
Yeah.
and she was part the Borg is part robot, part human, and
Yeah.
they,
Like a cyborg. Or,
and they kind of like her name was 7 of 9, and they remodeled her in this latex suit, and the actress who played 7 of 9 was Jerry Ryan, and she immediately became a poster girl for Star Trek geeks.
Yeah.
She was let's say she was quite attractive in this her spandex suit.
Yeah.
So she was notorious as far as, and this was like the late 1990s. Let me go one more. The $6 Million Man.
Oh, the actor, or am I saying the
Either one, either the actor or the character.
$6 Million Man? This am I going to come off as a complete?
Okay. His last name is also a state capital.
Oh, I was going to guess Bernie Mac. No, I'm way off on that. No, I
Okay, I'll give you. What's the capital of Texas?
Dallas? No, Houston?
Nope. The capital of Texas is Austin.
Austin.
And the $6 million Man, his name was Steve Austin, and he was played by Lee Majors.
Okay, all right. What was that from? There's some series called
TV,
$6 Million.
it was in the 70s.
In the 70s.
He was Steve Austin. He had 2 bionic legs, a bionic arm, and a bionic eye. And he was basically the Superman of the 1970s.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what other. Oh, okay. I've got. We were looking at names, looking at numbers and names corresponding to the numbers. How about objects or things for which we have to guess the number?
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so let's. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, the number of days in a Beatles week.
I'm gonna say, is this relating to a movie or a TV show or
Actually, it's related to a song.
to a song?
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
one of the most famous Beatles songs is called.
Oh, what is it? Is this from A Hard Day's Night?
Yep.
Working like a no. 2 or 1?
No,
No.
it's between 7 and 9.
Oh, 8?
8 days a week.
Okay. Is it, 8 days? Okay. I know what you're talking about now. All right.
I'm sorry. I got to be more. I have to be clearer in my directions. So
Okay.
I
I should have known that one, too.
This is still a learning process
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
so I have to be more explicit in my...
Do you present these Jeopardy games as your classes at all, or no?
Not this most. I cooked this one up for you.
Okay,
For you
all right.
and
Yes,
Vic. Steven Spielberg has made Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws. You know,
made some
he's
classics.
famous.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
He did make an absolute. He came out with a comedy, and the comedy turned out to be a complete bomb. It was, and it was made the year before Raiders of the Lost Ark, and because this particular movie was so unsuccessful, he couldn't find a major studio to do Raiders of the Lost Ark. But fortunately, they found somebody who could do it.
Yeah.
But he came out with this movie that almost destroyed his reputation.
Huh.
And there
Steven
was a movie
Spielberg-
about World War II. You might not, because it
don't know.
very quickly it was called 1941.
And it was a comedy and
It was
completely
a
bombed?
comedy about Los Angeles and World War II, and about they thought the Japanese were going to invade Los Angeles, and it was supposed to be it was a comedy.
And it's bombed, though?
But it was terrible. It got there were no raspberries back then, but it would have.
It would have won one. Yeah, for
it
sure.
would have won one. It was. Let's see, what else do we got? You might not know this one. I apologize. What is the number of the Starship Enterprise?
Starship Enterprise.
Always says Starship Enterprise, then they have the numbers. Again, this is it's an unfair question.
I don't know.
The actual number of the Starship Enterprise was NCC-1701.
Okay, so that was. I'm sure people.
Only if you were a real Star Trek geek
You know that,
would
yeah,
be
yeah.
able to get that. So this is, believe me, this is far more embarrassing to me than it might be for you. The fact that I could do this really obscure.
Oh, is that
and the sad part about it is I know many friends of mine for whom NCC-1701 is, well, that's like 2 plus 2.
Yeah. My brothers, I'm much more of a Star Wars guy, but
Yeah.
my brothers are on the same level where it's he can name all the planets involved, and he knows exactly,
Yeah.
and it's, I consider myself a dork too, or a geek about some of this stuff, but he's on a different level for sure. But yeah,
Yeah, and I've known in my lifetime several such individuals. Okay, here we go. From 2001, The Space Odyssey. What was the computer HAL's, what was his model number?
Can you give me the amount of digits? That's an odd one, but how many digits are in the number?
4.
Oh, 2001, right? No.
No, 2001 was supposedly when this occurred.
Okay.
Which of course it didn't, because now it's 2018. But no, the model number for I believe it was the HAL 9000.
Okay.
The
Oh,
HAL
okay.
9000
That's
computer.
right.
That's what that was.
Okay.
And here's one. This is one of my favorites. Are you familiar with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've read the book, but it was a long time ago. So
Okay. Okay. What is the ultimate answer to life, the universe, and everything?
Oh, okay. I remember this part.
Yep.
It was something stupid, right? It was something
It's
like
a number.
It is a number. Okay, so wasn't it something like 17 or something?
You're a little bit farther away. You're
Is it beneath? Up.
Up.
40, 40, 41? 45?
No, back.
43.
Nope.
42.
To 42.
42, that's right. I remember that part.
The answer to everything.
That was an awesome...
What the question is, no one knows. But the
Yeah.
answer is 42.
That's right. That was an awesome book. Even the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a movie before the most recent remake?
There was a TV movie.
Yeah.
It was on one of the, I think it was on like Channel 13.
Yeah.
But it's been, and it was remade again a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's one I'm familiar with, at least movie wise. But all right, you think we got time for one more? Or?
Yeah, let's do that. I can do, let's say, I'll go back to, let's say, TV. Oh, okay. You mentioned Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the TV show Mission Impossible, okay, Ethan Hunt didn't exist in the this was the 1960s when Mission Impossible came on TV.
Yeah.
The main character of Mission Impossible back then, and he was was actually in the first Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie. And he was, if you remember, do you remember the scene in the end when they're on the train going through the tunnel, followed by the helicopter, and they're on the train going 300 miles an hour?
Very vaguely, yeah.
Yeah,
But okay.
and he's Tom Cruise is battling the main villain, and the main villain was the former head of the of Mission Impossible. His name was Jim Phelps, and it was played by John Voight in the movie. And it was played by, but he was when the first mission, when Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie came out, there was an awful lot of people who were outraged
because
they made Jim Phelps a villain.
Yeah,
because in the TV series he was the head of Mission Impossible, and he was always the
guy.
main planner. He was the guy who planned everything.
And they kind of switched it. Oh, it's funny. Whenever I think of John Voight, I will forever think of the Seinfeld episode where George. Were you a Seinfeld guy? Or?
Yeah.
There was that episode where George gets John Voight's old car. The car salesman said, "This is John Voight's old car." It was actually a different John Voight.
Yeah.
And George goes crazy over it, but I'll forever think of that Seinfeld episode.
I think my favorite John Voight, one of my favorite John Voight memories was he was the villain on the first Anaconda movie.
Oh, was he? Was he really?
With Jennifer Lopez. And he gets swallowed by this giant anaconda.
Those movies were absurd. Yeah, those movies were so goofy.
Yeah, that was the late 1990s.
Yeah,
he was. He got swallowed up and spat out by the anaconda.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to start wrapping up the show.
Yeah.
I know you got class too. But yeah, I want to, thank you for this whole year and coming on all the podcasts and shows you were doing. Cool. Like I said, definitely next year there's going to be someone taking over for the show. And you
got to promise to come back and.
I will for sure.
And visit. And I promise you, I will not consult any of your any of your teachers and.
I mean, I definitely, whatever I decide to do in the future, I definitely hope, feature you and whatever I end up doing. So, in terms
just stay in touch.
Yeah, I will for sure. But, all right, you've been listening to the Roundup Podcast with James Ownicki and Professor Bob Search. And we will, this is my last show on WNTI. So, thank you and have a great week.